Stephen Bartlett, I think the episode dropped just before New Year.
Yeah.
This is important because the topic of the podcast was about New Year's resolutions and habits, basically. That's what this guy was on there for. But we had Chris Williamson join the podcast.
Chris Williamson, do you know he was on season 1 of Love Island?
Love Island. He's a Love Islander.
He's a Love Islander that never coupled up. He was literally the first person booted. So we'll just leave that on there. Sorry.
He's also a very famous podcaster now. I don't have his podcast name, but he is.
He is.
He creates a lot of content. He is a very successful podcaster. He's part of that sort of whole realm of top men in the podcasting world.
Just giving us their wonderful tidbits and golden nuggets.
Their little tidbits, exactly. And they were having a chat, I don't know like how it even got there, about fertility rates declining.
Because we obviously need more men talking about women's bodies.
100%. You know, why not?
Why not?
So I've got a little conversation over here for you.
Okay,
so Stephen says, we have this population decline situation going on. Is it not a function or consequence of the fact that we have more freedom, right? So I'm like, the topic of this conversation was about habits and...
Why are we talking about the declining birth rate, Stephen?
Like, how did it get there? I feel like they rage bait. It's rage bait.
But why? But you know what the problem I have with that rage bait thing is that a big part of his audience are still women. He fair enough. He's got these very controversial individuals, and I get why he's doing it, right? But in what world he does not have the reproductive organs to bring into children. So in what world does he think it's okay for him to like mention stuff like going into habits? Why don't you have a fucking kid then, babe?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's actually where it all came from. Is Stephen was saying how there was a comment on Twitter or Facebook or whatever where somebody was like, have you noticed that all of the top male podcasters don't have kids? And then they suddenly started talking about like fulfillment and why is fertility rate or why are birth rates declining and stuff. And is this a consequence of the so-called freedom? Chris then goes on to suggest that for him, you know, in his 20s, he was just trying to figure out who he was. Fair enough, you know, we are allowed to but no, he's allowed to figure out.
He's allowed to, sorry.
Exactly.
Chris is allowed to.
So back to the actual question, is the reason that we aren't having kids because of freedom and self-centeredness? So to quote from an article from The Cut, admittedly, neither man has children. But Williamson nevertheless rattled off a few theories as to why, in recent years, fewer people are having babies. Because they're busy, women aren't as financially dependent on men, contraception works, before ultimately pinning the problem on the growing anti-family sentiment among women. There's a girl on TikTok, he says. This girl wrote 350 reasons to not have kids, which he said included things like can't wear cute heels with the girls and have to miss brunch. Then he took aim at the author directly. By the sounds of things, it's a really good idea that she's not a mother.
No.
So not only is it because we're more independent.
Oh, we're earning more money.
Contraception works, which makes us more independent.
And because we've got more money.
We
don't have to be dependent on somebody.
We're now anti-family.
And that's actually our fault. So it's actually
our fault, yeah.
So it's totally the woman's fault why the birth rate's declining.
Exactly. You know, totally ours. And also this woman who found 350 reasons why. She also had some reasons to have children. She was like doing a pros and cons list. She didn't come up with many, fair enough. Because we wouldn't want a woman like that having babies.
A woman like what though?
Exactly.
Like a woman like what? So the vibe that I get from those two, right? And Stephen's recently gotten engaged to his partner, his long-term partner. And what's interesting, I think, about that is she is a yoga retreat leader. So she runs yoga retreats. She's very It's about combining the femininity and the sexuality. So she is very in tune. She's very spiritual, right?
Okay.
Complete opposite to him.
Yeah.
Like complete opposite. So, I mean, good luck to her. But I kind of feel like these two men are sitting there and they're trying to be, well, we're so open. We are so open.
Look at us talking
Look at
about
us
fertility
talking.
rates.
Look at us. We are on the woman's side. But in actual fact, they're sitting there and they're saying, oh, well, it could be because they're too independent. Contraception's working. They earn too much money. They're actually saying, so in other words, we wanted to go back the old way, right? Where women were dependent on us, where equality in the workplace wasn't a thing, where there was dependency, because that's kind of the reason, why women were having kids, because
they
had to.
They
were kind of forced to.
They were like forced birth. So funny you should say that, because a couple of months ago, there's sort of a resurfaced clip that has now come out from another episode where there was another guy on the podcast, and so I think his name is Alok Kanosia. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Good pronounced it.
But he refers to the fact that men are not being able to procreate and find partners anymore, and this is he compares it to a mass extinction event.
Why are these men so concerned about women's bodies and procreating
and genes, which is really weird? Well, I mean, this brings us back to like Sydney Sweeney and the whole gene thing.
Yes, that terrible advert.
Exactly. It was like, these are the genes I want, or whatever she said. But it's very much about like continuing the lineage.
Yes,
so it's not only about it's not about actually having a child.
It's making sure you continue the lineage.
Yes, it's so bizarre.
Now there's been such a decline in birth rate, specifically in the US, and I think that doctor could have been American, that they're trying to increase the birth rate because people are kind of looking at the world and they're saying, we don't know if we trust or want to bring up children in the world because of, look at the politicians. We're going back to the old boys club, sort of thing, the white male old politician. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the lineage piece. They don't give a shit about having kids. They just want to carry on their name.
Yeah.
In actual fact, we should be quite happy that birth rate's declining, because what does that mean? Less resources on the earth, climate change, jobs. You know what I mean? There's kind of a list. So I just think it's that typical, and we don't want to stereotype all men, because not all men are assholes.
No, 100%.
At all. But this old school way of thinking that, oh, well, we have to start having kids. Well, no.
Yeah. Well,
there was a TV show. It's called The Handmaid's Tale.
Exactly.
Watch it.
It was. And it's concerningly familiar.
Yeah.
During that resurface clip, they also talk about, well, Stephen literally asks when this guy is talking about the fact that, if there's a loads of people dying from cancer, would you intervene? And Stephen says yes. And if there's a whole bunch of people dying from genocide, would you intervene? Which we know the world doesn't.
Yeah.
So he then asks, about this mass extinction event that is happening with men, unfortunately. Should we put systems in place to make sure that these men meet partners? Or maybe we need to intervene. So we need to intervene in men finding partners in this male loneliness epidemic, which is not a real epidemic because men are not actually that lonely. They're not evolving.
Would you? What else? What more would you like us to do? Like, because I'm assuming, and I don't know if that was brought up at all, I'm assuming when they say we, they're talking about females, right?
Well, I think they're talking about society.
Okay, but a big chunk of
you need to match these men.
Well, if they
women.
have to have, if they have to have kids, they are going to need to be matched with people that are women and have female productive organs, right?
Yeah.
So in kind of fact, they're actually saying women need to sort of step in.
Exactly.
And they need to step in and stop being independent and stop earning too much money and just have babies.
Maybe
guys,
step away from the workplace.
Maybe just step away from the workplace. And actually, you know what?
Babies.
You don't have choices anymore.
No. Exactly.
I think that's the biggest sort of bullshit I've ever heard in my entire life. It makes me really annoyed.
I just think it's really interesting that this is still such a topic that like is coming up in real world scenarios.
The reality is some men were not taught how to evolve as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe something that is slightly overlooked. So you had a very good comment, like men haven't evolved as women have evolved, right? Which is why women are looking at some men and being like, I don't want to procreate with you. If those are your views, I'm not going to do that.
Exactly.
You know. And I think I completely agree with that, and I completely get where people are coming from. But maybe, and this could probably be another, you know, I was going to say like maybe it's society need to support men in evolving, but then I'm also very much of the mindset that no, you need to do it yourself.
100%. That's exactly
so
what I was thinking.
delete that. Don't think society needs to play any part. You as a person, times are changing. You need to change as well, and you need to keep up with the change.
Yeah. I also just think that there are too many examples of women who have found themselves in really difficult positions once they've had children and are left on their own, raising children on their own. And I think women are starting to stand up and be like, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that risk. I'm not interested in
100%
putting myself in a position like that where I could be all alone. I mean, like men with secret lives, and
honestly, and also, but some women just don't want to have kids, and that's okay.
That's true too. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like why are these men so concerned about the declining birth rate?
So concerned about women's bodies.
So concerned. Well, we're leaving kind of children. We're kind of leaving that topic. Kind of leaving the children topic, but it kind of leads quite nicely into my next topic that I have. It's not as deep as Stephen Bartlett. I think we got the... He honestly, one last thing about Stephen Bartlett, seriously, I don't even know why I still follow him on Instagram, because he drives me insane. I need to unfollow him. And he's always like posting photos of himself in the gym, like, gotta pay, you know, time, you gotta carve out time for yourself, you know. Shut up. Okay. Stephen Bartlett done. Right. My next topic of conversation is the whole Ashley Tisdale, Mandy Moore, Hilary Duff, Meghan Trainor mom group drama.
So we're not leaving kids behind.
We're not leaving our kids behind at all. Kind of good segue. So Ashley Tisdale, she became very famous because she was Sharpay on High School Musical. I'll be honest, I never got into High School Musical. Like, not my thing.
A little bit older.
I was too old for that.
Although Blaine is a High School Musical stan.
Is he?
Only the first one though.
Okay, only the first one. So that's how she made millions, right? And I still think she continues to make millions. Kind of done a bit of acting here or there. She is now, I would say, a momfluencer. Very much, she's got her own blog called By Ashley French, which is her married name. She's married to a guy called Chris French. Also kind of B-grade actor. Did a couple of things when he's younger. Never really did anything more. She's had 2 kids, and in about 2020, when she had her first wanted so pandemic, I know there are a lot of moms out there who was pregnant during the pandemic. She was kind of feeling really lost, and she wanted to she was looking for a village, right? Looking for a village,
as you do,
just to kind of support. She was trying to get her kind of wellness business or blog sort of up and running, and she found this mom group. So we've got our Mandy Moore, we've got Hilary Duff, Meghan Trainor. Their kids are slightly older. A couple of other sort of, you know, CEOs or directors, and she was like, this is amazing. I've kind of really found my village. It was, you know, so nice to kind of be surrounded people who having to do Zoom calls while breastfeeding sort of thing. But kind of as she's kind of growing in this friendship, she's starting to notice a couple of things, right? So she's kind of noticing that there's one person that the dynamic seems to be off with the rest of them. she kind of just dismisses it. She's like, oh, well, I'm just so happy I found my people.
My people.
And then kind of it starts coming out that there are separate WhatsApp groups. So some people are only on certain WhatsApp groups. There are then dinner parties or birthdays or events where she's not invited, but she's seeing it being posted all on Instagram. And this is kind of starting to make her feel really, really uncomfortable, right? It then kind of culminates in end of January 2026 now. She writes on her blog, I've left my toxic friend group. She's like, I'm done.
She's done with this.
She's like, I'm done. And why it's okay. And she sort of justifies it. And she starts off by obviously explaining this wonderful scenario that she was in. And there were a couple of things that made her super uncomfortable. And she just kind of messaged them and was like, oh, well, I'm done. Like, I'm out sort of thing. You know, they try to get
drama.
I'm done with your drama. They try to get her back in. And she was just like, no, you know, it started to feel very high school to her, very high school. And she thought to herself, well, I need to sort of teach my kids a level of self-respect. So if I'm putting myself in a disrespectful environment, what am I teaching my kids? And then she also goes on to say, look, it's going to be really difficult, and so many other moms are probably in that situation because if they found their village, it's such a big support system, right? It's like
you don't want to step away from
you don't want to step away. What am I going to do with my play dates?
Yeah.
You know, who's going to help me, you know, potentially look after the kids? But she just said, you know, with her sort of leaving, it was kind of the best thing that she did for herself. It was more lonely being in that group than being out of the group. The Cut then pick up this article that she's written, and then she then writes how she sort of left this toxic friendship. But now bear in mind, you're dealing with the likes of the Mandy Moore and the Meghan Trainor, the Hilary Duff sort of thing.
These are big names.
These are big names, especially in that mom world. And if you actually go look at some of their Instagrams, right, it's so like, it's kind of, the vibe I get is super unposed posed.
Oh yeah.
So
it's all very polished.
It's so polished, but like unpolished at the same time. So none of us have makeup on, but we're all in our sweats.
Yes.
And there's a beautiful sun coming. And you know, our kids are super dirty. Like they've been playing in the mud the whole day, but the mud is very like strategically placed.
Yes.
So
it's very curated.
It's a very, very curated, natural, unnatural image. And I was kind of thinking to myself, I was like, what I would have done in that position. But then when I started reading a bit more into it, because first value is like, you know what, you do you. Like, I've been in toxic friendships and sometimes you just got to walk away. But then subsequently what's happened is she left, she wrote this article on The Cut, and people, so Matthew, what's his name? Matthew Cormer. Yeah, like Coma, like Coma. He's Hilary Duff's husband has then come out and he like superimposed his face over Ashley's face and was like, you're actually the self-obsessed one. Like everyone else in the mom group's more worried about their children as opposed to their image. And then if you dig even deeper, Ashley Tisdale and Vanessa Hudgens were best friends and they have not spoken. Like they completely fell out. So who is the toxic person here?
Yeah.
Right. I did go have a look at her well-being site by Ashley French. And let me tell you, reminds me of somebody we like to call Meghan Markle.
Likes a little bit of branding. Curation and...
Let me teach you how to make gluten-free, egg-free, sugar-free cinnamon rolls. Delightful. I kind of want to like her, but I don't.
I feel exactly the same about her and Meghan Markle. I kind of want to like her.
I kind of want to give her the benefit. I don't.
Kind of don't know how I feel about her.
I will say, Meghan Trainor is in that group of women friends. And we're going to get onto Meghan Trainor soon. Do I think there is probably some truth? Absolutely. I think Mandy Moore's also highly self-involved. Her voice kills me.
I love Mandy Moore.
Do you? Oh no, I can't stand her.
I love her so
Actually, even Hilary Duff. Like,
my God, obsessed.
Are you? Do you love Hilary Duff? No.
It's so curated. I mean, I can't. I love it.
No.
I love the effort you're putting in.
I just
love the vibe.
No, I just can't. I don't know why. They give me the cringe. They all cringe me. So maybe I think I'm on Ashley's side because I completely agree with her. Like, if you got to go, you got to go. I think tap out. I think completely tap out.
Yeah, I agree. But do you need to announce it?
Do you need to announce it? No.
And do you need to announce it to the world? So those are two different things, but I feel like we need to unpick that a little bit.
And that's where the disingenuousness out of the whole thing comes from.
Exactly. Right? Because I'm a very firm believer that if you're in a situation, unless somebody is like actively said something that has caused a scene and caused drama, you can also just quietly disappear. Sorry, not available.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, can't make it this time.
Sorry, can't.
Eventually they'll stop inviting you. Eventually you'll stop after saying no. No big drama, no big thing. Oh, yeah, Ashley was part of it, but we don't really see her anymore. Blah, blah, blah. That's fine. You don't need to announce it. And then you certainly don't need to announce it to the world.
So that is interesting. Your first point. So she announces this, right? So she sends everyone like, I'm leaving the group. I can't remember. I'm leaving the group or something. People then start sending her flowers.
Yes.
She's like, oh, well, they sent me flowers and they said, oh, well, I didn't know you weren't going to be invited. And then her rebuttal is like, oh, well, you never asked why I wasn't invited. So like very like self-obsessed, like it's all about me. And also, if you didn't want to make a big thing about this, so you had your essay, you had your lovely little essay on your blog. Awesome. Why, when the cut wanted to pick it up, did you want to like add more?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was literally just a duplication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I also think that we need to approach friendships with a little bit more maturity.
Agree.
So I'm not saying that there wasn't any pettiness.
Yeah.
All friendship groups tend to have some
There's always going to be
pettiness. Fair enough. But we all have subgroups on WhatsApp. We all have multiple groups. We have big groups. We've got medium groups. We got really small groups. We got girls groups. We got boys groups.
Yeah.
With all the same people. We have like 40 groups for the 10 people that we are friends with.
Because you have different relationships with different people.
Exactly. And then, shock horror, sometimes you direct message only one person. Ooh. Maybe you go for coffee with just one person.
No.
Can you excluding the other people?
No, you're not.
No, you're just having a relationship with one person, which is slightly different to your relationship with the other.
But that's why I'm kind of like, once again, it's her truth. But it's very strange, very, very strange that the one that thought she was being treated like a high schooler is acting the most immature out of all of them.
Exactly.
So, but like I said, Meghan Trainor's in that group, and you know, I mean, I'm not a big fan of any of those curated women.
And that brings us to Meghan Trainor.
Tell me about Meghan Trainor, because I know nothing. I literally know nothing. So you can't tell me.
So they're in a mom group, right? They're all moms.
Yeah.
Meghan Trainor has just welcomed her third baby into the world.
What?
Yep. So on the 21st of Jan, she announced to the world on Instagram that they had welcomed a baby girl, Mikey Moon Trainor, via their superwoman surrogate.
Okay.
Right? Well, let me tell you, did people get upset?
Really?
People are very upset about this, right? So hear me out. Torrent of hatred. How dare you use a surrogate to have another baby? A lot of people were very nice to her. You know,
Kardashian. I mean, because Kim's got two surrogates.
Yeah.
Because some women just can't carry.
Well, exactly. And in this case, it certainly sounded like she had, that they wanted a third baby, and the only way that they were safely able to do that was to get a surrogate.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, there are two articles that stand out to me. We've got the Telegraph, good old Telegraph, ran a story with the headline, Meghan Trainor's picture lays bare the cruelty of surrogacy.
Oh, come on.
Where rich people are renting out the wombs of the poor. So this was obviously a very sort of extreme story. Yeah. Very like heavily opinionated piece where the author was essentially, do they call them authors? The author of the piece was essentially attacking the fact that we see women having surrogates as very progressive, but really it's just another example of white women exploiting poor women, right?
Okay.
So bear with me. The next one was The Observer. They ran a piece about the fact that surrogacy is too risky an answer to not being able to conceive. So this one was slightly more nuanced, and it actually went a little bit more into the whole surrogacy piece. So surrogacy is legal in some places, illegal in others. In places like the UK, surrogacy is legal, but you cannot be paid for it.
Okay, fair enough. So I'm kind of like gifting.
I'm gifting, exactly. It's like an act of goodwill.
Yeah.
Right? And generally what happens is that the family will only cover your medical expenses.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there aren't loads of women that are raring to give up their wombs for other people.
I mean, I'm like, can you imagine?
Well, it's a wild situation.
No, it's such a wild situation.
To actually be, if you really had to think about it, it's quite crazy that women are willingly going through pregnancy and childbirth
and giving away that baby.
Well, yeah,
not giving away, but
there's so many layers to it.
Like there's
so because it's not their baby.
No, it isn't,
right?
Because it's literally an embryo and a sperm.
Egg and a sperm
make
an embryo.
Yeah. I know so much about this.
Science.
#science. That's why I don't have kids, everybody.
So an egg and a sperm, yes, from the parents. Exactly.
Yeah, and then they're inserted. Yeah.
Pop it in, in you go. Have this baby. But there are some like sort of interesting things about surrogacy, about the sort of health, like the high risk of preeclampsia. Yeah. Apparently they think it's got to do with the fact that it's not genetically the same.
Okay.
So the baby is treated as more of like a parasite than a normal baby.
Which would make sense, right? Because your body won't expel anything that you put into it.
Exactly. So there are some like genetic, some studies show this. Generally speaking though, it goes ahead, no problem.
Yeah.
There's obviously just a small amount of these examples. But I think it's a little bit perplexing on a number of different layers. But we're being told that we need to have more babies and we need to procreate and we need to intervene. But then when people intervene,
we're getting shunned because they're intervening.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
like you basically can't win.
No, but you can't. But also, so I have a comment to this, right? I think surrogacy is great, and I think people, if you willingly give your body, I think it's amazing, especially for those same-sex couples who can't have kids, who can't carry their own children. Trust me, they would probably carry it if they could, right? But they can't.
Yeah.
Or for women that have illnesses that can't carry, or women that are predisposed. So Louise Thompson, she's like an influencer here. If she has another kid, she will die. She will die. She nearly died with her first child. She wants to have another kid, so she's doing IVF and then she's doing surrogacy.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. What I don't necessarily agree with, and where I think a lot of this judgment comes in, right? So if you look at the likes of, and I'll use Meghan Trainor as an example, did she choose surrogacy for her own selfish reasons? The selfish reasons being, my body is in the best shape of my life. Do I actually want to get fat and have a kid?
Is it the worst thing if that was the reason?
It's not. It's not. But that's where we're coming from.
Yes,
because
exactly.
Let's be honest, Meghan Trainor, and it's so unfortunate that we have to speak about women's weight, but let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, she lost loads of weight.
The world revolves around it, right?
Yeah.
And when she lost all the weight, it's like, Meghan Trainor in the best shape that she's ever been. And it's like, never mind.
She's spoken quite publicly
about and she's always spoken about it. Never mind the fact she's a talented singer. But you wonder, is that part of it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's part of the thoughts that people are going through. Is like, that's immediate. You got Lily Collins, who also had a surrogate.
Yes.
But then you've also got Elton John, who's had a surrogate.
Why aren't we shitting on Elton John?
Tom Daley, who's had a surrogate.
Yes, lovely Tom Daley.
You've had Kim Kardashian, who's had multiple surrogates, right?
That's two.
Juliana Rancic, who after chemo and stuff like that wasn't able to have her own baby, but they'd frozen eggs or embryos. They had a surrogate. I mean, so many examples. Now, obviously, these are all examples of rich people having surrogates.
Yeah.
Surrogacy is not necessarily something that everyone can afford. Surprisingly cheap, though. Like, Yes, it's expensive, but it sounds like if you want a baby from like Ukraine or something like that.
Want a baby from Ukraine?
I mean,
what?
It's your baby. You're just sending it to Ukraine to get incubated. Don't know if you want to do that, but you can.
But you know you can.
It costs between £11,000 and £14,000, which not that wild for buying a baby.
But you know, but I think it's also maybe difficult for us to compute, is because there are some people that will literally, their life has no meaning unless they have kids.
Yeah.
And that is what they've always thought. So people like that, they will spend 12, 13, 14K to have a kid. I think the annoying thing on this is that, and I'm not a Meghan Trainor stan, but I just think if it was a man, we once again would not be having this conversation. But because she's a woman, and because looking at her, she can carry a baby.
Yeah, she's in great shape.
She's in great shape. Why is she not? And we're kind of spinning this narrative about how it's all of a sudden going into taking advantage of the poor. I'm not saying that they're not taking advantage of the poor, because some people would literally, they need that money.
Exactly.
But I think there's a lot more layers to it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I'd have somebody's baby for 11 grand, and I don't think I would.
No.
I need more money. I'd probably do it, to be fair, for the right amount of money.
I would do it for the right amount of money.
Yeah.
I totally would. For 9 months.
Yeah.
Hells yes. Do you want to see me? I will be health queen.
But it's definitely having a Sanson sunroof if it's not my baby.
Yeah. And by that we mean C-section. Then coming out of that small little hole, Sanson sunroof.
I love that when I heard that. That was so funny. My favorite comment was from a user, Love My Every 82. The comments say it all about today's society. Margot Robbie was shamed for her pregnancy body.
Yeah.
Millie Bobby Brown was shamed for adopting.
Yeah.
Lily Collins was shamed for using a surrogate. And now Meghan Trainor is shamed too. This just goes to show that no matter what, as women, when it comes to to us becoming a mum, we're shamed for it. And I would add, also not becoming a mum.
110%. And I think that is a very, very good way to end this week's podcast, because we've been nattering.
We have. We've been going for quite a while, but it's been wonderful.
It's been so wonderful. We'd love to hear your guys' comments. Anything we've missed, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, these topics could all have been an episode on its own.
Literally, going into the comments. Yeah, going into the comments is an episode on its own. But please like, subscribe, follow, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
How long was that? 70 minutes.